Good evening. This is your New York State Assembly member, Khalil M. Anderson. Welcome to my second annual State of the District Address. Thank you so much for tuning in. On Tuesday, January 4th, 2023, I swore a solemn oath to uphold the New York State Constitution and renewed my enduring commitment to fight for the working class families of the beautiful 31st Assembly District, a place that I've called home for most of my life. I'm honored and excited to begin my second term as the New York State Assembly member representing the 31st District. This Black History Month, I am reminded that I stand on the shoulders of giants, and I'm humbled to continue my tenure as the youngest African-American legislator in New York State history. Now, historically, we as a society are often found throwing stones. There's this old expression folks say that people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Another expression warns against throwing rocks and hiding your hand. A third expression found in biblical scripture asks those without blame to cast the first stone. Well, tonight, I encourage you, instead of throwing stones and casting blame, to pick up those stones and join me, join my office and your neighbors to build a strong, brighter, and more prosperous future together. Side by side, we can realize our collective power, show up for each other and for ourselves instead of waiting to be rescued. Our unity is our strength, and our collaboration will take us further than our isolation. And when we work together, we can build bridges over troubled waters, leading us to a better quality of life and healthier outcomes for this generation and for the next. Tonight, I'm proud to share with you the flowers in a springtime after the cold, harsh winter. The state of our district is blooming. And like a caterpillar under pressure before transforming into a butterfly, the state of our district is evolving. And like a tree with its roots firmly planted in the ground, branches stretching wide towards the sky, and leaves sprouting forth, the state of our district is building and growing. And make no mistake, things are not perfect here at home. My team and I see that every single day. But we celebrate the best as we persevere through the difficult challenges ahead. Now, the working class families of Assembly District 31 are resilient. And we still have a long journey ahead. My office and my team is committed to empowering our constituents with information and equipping them with resources needed to achieve self-sufficiency and independence of all of our constituents. And with constituent services, legislative advocacy, and our exciting new partnership initiatives that I'm going to announce tonight, my office stands ready to help usher Assembly District 31 into a new chapter. So I'm so excited to get started. When we talk about constituent services, I'm proud to share that in 2022, my office assisted in over 1,000 constituent cases across Assembly District 31 through direct constituent services support, strategic partnership referrals, resource clinics, and my favorite, the summer mobile office hours, and of course, our community conference series. My dynamic team, my staff, uses a trauma-informed approach to offer targeted support within our capacity as a legislative office. And we listen with empathy and respond with resources to help our constituents achieve that self-sufficiency and improve their overall quality of life. Now, the most common issues that are affecting the district last year were housing, food, the gaps in social services, and the staggering unemployment numbers that continue to plague our district. We seek to address these structural issues through collaboration with state agencies like the Office of Children and Family Services, Office of Temporary Disability Services, Division of Housing and Community Renewal, the Department of Labor, and more. Our office has held regular agency briefings with each of these state entities and works collaboratively with intergovernmental affairs, personnel, to coordinate our constituent support efforts. We have also partnered with local organizations like Catholic Charities to fight back against homelessness and the rising surge of evictions in Southeast Queens and all across our district. We've helped provide emergency rental assistance to our constituents, housing stabilization for more than over 60 families in our Assembly District. This winter, I was so excited that our office has continued to meet the moment by activating a home energy assistance outreach center at my Far Rockaway office. And I'm proud to announce tonight that we will soon be expanding this state-funded energy and utility assistance program to all of the 31st Assembly District, including South Ozone Park, where it will be in our South Ozone Park office this winter. For those residents desperately in need of legal help, I'm proud to announce that my office has launched a formal partnership with the New York Legal Assistance Group, offering free legal assistance for tenants, survivors of domestic violence, people with disabilities, victims of identity theft, and our immigrant brothers and sisters. As we work with our partners to address quality of life issues, I'm excited to announce and share, and this is a big one, that this spring, my office will be unveiling the first ever Assembly District 31 How to Be a Good Neighbor toolbox. And in this digital toolbox will be everything from resources on conflict resolution, noise mitigation, and parking etiquette, and guidance on how to form a block association. These tools are so critical as we work to improve the quality of life of all of our neighbors. So stay tuned for that formal announcement on this critical, important resource in the coming months. In terms of legislative advocacy, our office believes in the power of co-governance and creating opportunities for the community to not only identify problems, but be a part of the solution. This legislative session, I'm proud to announce the creation of our first ever Legislative Advisory Council. This Legislative Advisory Council will play a key role within my office during the 246th legislative session, providing ideological, individual, and community support around our office's legislative priorities. And this year, as your state representative, our main priorities, and there's much intersection between these three, will be addressing the issues of housing insecurity, fighting back against food apartheid, and addressing structural violence that impacts our families, our children, and all of our community. The Legislative Advisory Council, we have many working groups that are doing incredible work, such as the Safety for Our Sisters working group to dismantle gender-based violence, our Food, Our Family, and Futures Legislative Advisory Council, tackling food apartheid, and our Cultivating Our Communities, helping us address structural violence like gun violence and institutional violence that impacts the ability of our students and communities to get a fair and just education. Public safety is at the top of everyone's mind right now. My office is committed to dismantling the American mass incarceration system that unfairly targets Black and brown communities. We believe that in understanding public safety, it is also about making sure that we have a criminal legal system that prioritizes restorative justice, harm reduction, and true rehabilitation. From Tyree Nichols in Memphis, Tennessee, to Quayshawn Samuel in Far Rockaway, New York, we believe that everyone in this country deserves due process and that law enforcement is not the judge, jury, or executioner. As your elected official, I count myself among those public servants who are not above the law. And for this reason, I fully support ending qualified immunity, an archaic, unjust legal statute that shields government officials from liability in civil lawsuits and cases throughout this state. MLK once said that violence is anything that denies human integrity and leads to hopelessness and helplessness. My office advocates for uprooting of structural violence that gives way to violence in all forms: school-based violence, domestic violence, gun violence, police violence, and more. I strongly believe that treating people as human beings rather than animals in the wild or commodities for profit is how we move that agenda forward. We support ending for-profit prisons, the release of rehabilitation and of individuals incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses, and a true end to the cash bail system, which rewards privilege and criminalizes poverty without due process and fair representation. My office is committed to advocating for public health and community education solutions to stop the spread of the deadly disease of gun violence that is tearing up our communities. We all know that conflict, and I say this each and every time I go to a shooting response or have to speak to a mother that's lost their child, that conflict is inevitable. And it's a natural part of human existence. And it'll always be with us. But when conflict arises, it is how we choose to approach resolving and solving our issues and disagreements that determines our ability to coexist. Last year, we proudly announced the Edgemere Community Mediation Program, which was created in honor of Justin Wallace, a 10-year-old baby boy whose bright light was extinguished much too soon due to preventable gun violence stemming from a dispute among neighbors. I'm really proud today to announce that last year, in partnership with Full Gospel Tabernacle and Community Mediation Services, we launched the first ever cohort of local residents who learned how to deal with conflict, who learned de-escalation tactics and restorative practices in the face of conflict to address it in a civil and peaceful manner. I know my neighbors. I know my community. I know our neighbors, and I know our community. And we are committed to ensuring that practices and preventative measures to stop violence at its root is the way forward. In the near future, I'm excited to announce that my office will be rolling out a game-changing new partnership with our friends and allies at the New Yorkers Against Gun Violence to bring school-based education programs into local community schools that are disproportionately affected by gun violence. And we've made this commitment to work to expand into 6 schools by the end of 2023. That's a huge announcement because now our students will be able to have the tools and resources to help prevent incidences of violence in our communities. This new anti-gun violence education program will emphasize personal and group development in our schools while emerging and empowering students, teaching them about policy and programmatic solutions to help reduce gun violence while building their leadership and advocacy skills. With these efforts and more, we can feel more hopeful rather than helpless in the face of gun violence. Last month, I grieved with our community as 4 videos faced and came about, depicting the brutal beating and murder of Tyree Nichols at the hands of law enforcement in Memphis, Tennessee. Here in Far Rockaway, Quayshawn Samuels was killed by police in December, and several other reports of police brutality have affected the public trust and emotional well-being. But beyond the news headlines, my office is concerned about how people in our communities experience violence, including impacts of structural violence and that impact on our mental health and emotional well-being. That's why I'm proud to announce 2 critical initiatives that will help us work to address the issues of mental health in our community. Last year, I allocated funding for a Black men's yoga program in collaboration with the Rockaway YMCA and Humble Yoga Fitness. Our men deserve social and emotional support as they face structural challenges and institutional adversity. As we celebrate Black History Month, I'm pleased to share that in addition to addressing those issues around mental health, we've entered a partnership with the Arthur Ashe Institute for Urban Health and Public Health Organizations, founded by the late African-American tennis icon, to launch our highly anticipated barbershop mental health program, and it will be expanded across the district this spring. This first of its kind pilot program aims to understand and support the experiences of working class families, especially men of color, by addressing mental health and well-being. Now, we've already stated that connecting local barbershops is a key to helping address mental health. And we've begun that work in Rockaway and in Rosedale. We've brought mental health professionals in to provide necessary information, tools, education, training, and resources to build the capacity of community leaders and members to proactively address mental health in communities of color. And with the support of our community, we plan to expand this program even further through the district into our beauty salons as well. I'm so excited to also announce our family fitness programs. As we advocate for healthier lifestyles and addressing food apartheid and food insecurity, my office was proud to support the Family Aquatics program at the Rockaway YMCA this Arvern, this summer, and across Arvern. This initiative not only promotes physical activity and exercise, but also improves water safety and survival skills for young people and adults and seniors across this community. Last fall, we partnered with our allies in city and state government, New York City Councilwoman Sylvina Brooks Powers and State Senator James Sanders Jr., on a number of different initiatives. One such was the Wise Walking Warriors program, which is in our 3rd cycle. The program is recognized citywide and has expanded from Springfield Gardens into the Rockaways. And this health and wellness initiative includes our Wise Walking Warriors senior fitness courses, our nutrition education program, and our beginner tennis program, as well as Zumba classes. Now, my office partners with groups and organizations and entities to help truly address health lifestyles and changing the mindsets of our constituents each and every day. And these programs have proved critical to the many neighbors who've participated in them. Food apartheid. My office is dedicated to breaking the stigma around food insecurity and hunger. Food insecurity is an economic and social condition of limited access to food, while hunger is an individual feeling of uneasiness or pain that may result from food insecurity. It is important to recognize that there's a stigma attached to asking for help. Both are a result of food apartheid, which describes the structural policies that make healthy food difficult to access, and unhealthy food readily available. That's why in December of 2022, last year, my office spearheaded a citywide and statewide campaign fighting back against SNAP EBT theft and demanding relief for thousands of working class families whose benefits had been stolen to no fault of their own. I was glad to see that our allies on the federal level in Congress adopted legislation, and we've co-sponsored legislation on the state level to provide resources to victims of SNAP skimming, which is on pace to become law. Last fall, my office also announced the creation of our Food Sovereignty Coalition, which is a network of stakeholders serving the district and helping to develop a more self-sufficient, food sovereign community. And I announced historic funding. Over $400,000 was secured by my office to invest in ensuring we address the issues of food insecurity, both presently and in the future. We secured funding for the Campaign Against Hunger's Greenhouse Project, which will allow growing to happen all year round. Crops that you normally can't get because of the weather will now be able to be grown and on people's dinner tables. I also invested over $150,000 in grant funding to Queens offenders for their emergency food warehouse storage to ensure that timely food distribution, not if, but when the next disaster occurs. We've also developed a food insecurity survey to ensure, as a needs assessment tool, that we can capture the instances of food insecurity impacting our district. We've also created an interactive food map to identify pantries across the district to help better serve and identify individuals who can meet the needs of those service gaps. We've coordinated the first ever Project Feed, meaning feeding everyone with efficiency and dignity, to better streamline food distribution for hundreds of families during the holiday season. Hunger and food insecurity affects everyone, even our bravest neighbors. That's why I'm honored to announce tonight that my office will be offering much needed SNAP assistance for veterans in our community, their caregivers in our community, and their families as well. We believe that no constituent or family should go hungry, especially those who have served in the armed forces. There's a stigma attached to receiving public benefits, but it's so important that my office serves as that service gap to ensure that people and individuals have access to SNAP benefits. And data has shown that our state leaves millions, if not billions of dollars on the table each year in tax dollars that are allocated for food programs like SNAP. And we're looking to meet the needs of that service gap. We've got so many great announcements tonight, and I'm so excited that as we address the issues of food insecurity, that you all take note on how you can plug in and be a part of the solution. My office is going to continue to raise awareness about food insecurity and the policies that perpetuate that. I was proud to issue an op-ed in the Daily News with Hunger Free America to shine a light on state legislation that would help us reduce food insecurity. In Assembly District 31, we worked together with registered dietitians, and we launched a supermarket tour series to help educate our constituents on how to identify healthy food options. And of course, much of our residents took heed to that program, and were excited to ensure that they were selecting foods that would help improve the quality of life of their access, but also support our small business community. Now, it's important to understand that through the healthy promotion of good food and good options, that we help mitigate the impact of food apartheid. We are excited to announce many programs tonight. And as we move forward with climate justice and addressing the emergencies of our communities, including food insecurity, that we do so together. The threats of climate change are impacting our district. And we saw that late last year when we were impacted by Winter Storm Elliott. And many of our families in Rosedale, Springfield Gardens, and the Rockaways were impacted with the flood inundation waters. I'm a strong advocate and will continue to be, and we are working on legislation currently that I'm excited to announce that would ensure that not only the true implementation of the New York State Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act comes to full fruition, but that our communities that are impacted by airplane noise and air pollution can work to be made whole. That's why I'm proud to announce that we've introduced the Green New Deal, which is a framework of ensuring that communities of color right here in the 31st Assembly District can fight back against those environmental challenges each and every day that they're experiencing. But we're also going to issue a carbon tax to ensure that the largest polluters pay their fair share. And I'm proud to announce and accept that as we work to mitigate that impact of the climate disaster, that I accept that we're doing this together as a community. Now, many families and communities across the district were devastated by Superstorm Sandy, which was our largest climate event in over decades. Last October, we planned programs to ensure that our office trains up a cohort of leadership that can help us prepare not if the next storm happens, but when it happens. And so we ensured that over 100 residents were trained in citizens preparedness. And we're going to continue that partnership with Battalion Pentecostal Assembly Church in Arverne, as well as our partners at Regional Ready Rockaway, RDRC, and the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. Now, when we think about Superstorm Sandy in the context of climate racism, we think about Winter Storm Elliott, which I just recently spoke about. And when I toured the flood disaster affected communities that I just spoke about with our partners in government like Governor Kathy Hochul, State Senator Sanders, Councilwoman Brooks Powers, and our Congressmember Gregory Meeks, we gathered hundreds of residents at a town hall from every level of government to figure out where those preparedness gaps are and how we can address climate resiliency inequities. Now, my office has continued to work with partners in government to help establish a CERT team or a cohort of community leaders and volunteers responsible for spreading the awareness and the training of our communities in emergency preparedness. And we're excited about the next initiatives that we're getting ready to announce in that vein as well. We're always looking for innovative solutions to long-standing problems. That's why my office is proud to announce a partnership between the scientific community and our coastal residents through the Community Flood Watch program. This program is a growing network of residents and organizations that will ensure that we continue to report local flooding and share the experiences that often go untold and unheard. And in this partnership, our communities will be better informed and more prepared. Again, not if the next storm happens or if the next extreme weather event happens, but when it does. This is my favorite part of tonight's State of the District Address: the strategic partnerships and initiatives. My office is dedicated to securing strategic partnerships to offer our district more resources and a better quality of those resources. And we have to do this together. And I'm excited to make that announcement tonight. So, one example is through our support of our New York City Public Schools and its teachers. Because we strongly believe that every student deserves a quality education, and every family deserves culturally responsive support, and every teacher deserves the tools necessary to be successful. My office secured funding to support after-school program at PSMS 52Q to ensure that students facing acute housing insecurity had access to tutoring and homework help, as well as dance, boxing, and culinary arts. And we hope to mimic programs like these all across the district. I'm excited that we also secured funding for our Media and Technology program at MS 355Q and 356Q in Springfield Gardens with New York Edge. More than a dozen students plus have learned and continue to learn media technology skills while enhancing their literacy, communication, and leadership in that same very field. We made tremendous strides and are excited to continue critically important work ahead in that regard. This spring, I'm excited to announce that my office has launched a new partnership. And this is a big one because we have not done this right. But this partnership will help us ensure that our teachers have the tools and resources that they need to properly educate our students. That's why I'm partnering with the United Federation of Teachers to open a teaching center in Far Rockaway. And this is a seed, as I hope and vision, to expand teaching centers all across the 31st Assembly District. That a teaching center will function as a school-based professional development program to ensure that our teachers have the excellence in academic achievement mindsets for all of our students. We must do our part to ensure quality education and support for all students, regardless of their ability, is met. And I'm proud to announce, as a part of our education strategic partnerships and initiatives, that we are going to announce a formal relationship and partnership with the St. John's Episcopal Hospital and the PS 256Q family to ensure that our students with disabilities and special needs have a streamlined behavioral health care and early intervention services for our students who are experiencing emotional and physical and psychological distress. Now, as a former District 75 student with an individualized education plan, I know firsthand the importance of receiving equitable school-based support after being diagnosed with my own disability. This is a critical partnership with aid for our students and their families, guiding our young people towards care and disrupting the IEP to incarceration pipeline that too often steers those young baby boys and baby girls towards jails and prisons. And I'm working on legislation currently to ensure that our community involvement in public school leadership positions is heard in the state of New York and the city of New York. As it relates to public safety and street safety for our students, I'm proud to announce that I have introduced the Davina Afikoba Driver Accountability Act, named after an 11-year-old baby girl who was mowed down and killed last year due to irresponsible drivers. This is a painful time for our community, as we've seen an increase in traffic incidences and violence. But I know that as we continue to uplift the Afikoba family and push on to pass this legislation, that we can and will make our streets safer and our communities healthier. Now, these 2 past years in our district have been unprecedented. But through it all, we have persisted and delivered on our community's needs and our commitments in earning the confidence and trust of our community. As I enter my 3rd year in office, my team and I recommit to doing our part. We continue to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, courtesy, empathy, and innovation to best serve the residents of our district. We believe that laws change lives, and there is power in legislation and policy to improve the overall quality of life and health outcomes for our community. And our community includes those who are unhoused, those who are underhoused, those who live in public housing, and those who own homes in our communities, those who live in Michelamas, and those who are struggling to put food on the table because rent continues to increase. And in our collective advocacy for all of those communities, we believe progressive legislation and initiatives are vital to help moving our community towards economic freedom, and that our neighbors deserve and desire better. I'm proud to join with our leaders of all backgrounds, from South Richmond Hill to South Ozone Park to Springfield Gardens to Rosedale to Far Rockaway, to ensure that the working class families can move towards lasting change. And I'm proud that in our South Ozone Park office, we are addressing those issues. And in that part of our district and of our community, that we're continuing to ensure that legal assistance for immigrants is available, and that we recommit as a community to support the model of co-governance. Now, we have realized tremendous accomplishments in our collective vision for a future, but we're not done. Because our unity is our strength, and our collaboration will take us further than our isolation. Assembly District 31, it is my profound honor to continue to serve this district and move us forward. And part of the way we do that is to ensure that the state of our district continues to build and grow together. God bless you all, and may God bless the families of the 31st Assembly District and all across the great state of New York.